Hello, lovely people. Well, we have some breaking news that every true crime creator should pay attention to, especially if they're into creating conspiracy theories and false narratives around victims and their families. Frankie Rusak Jr., the brother of Shanann Watts and the uncle of the 3 children, one who was unborn, who were all murdered together by Chris Watts, has won his lawsuit against the Armchair Detective, one of the biggest and most prolific tragedy pimps covering the Shanann Watts case back in the day. And guess what? This is really, really bad news for the RICO Plaintiffs and the other tragedy vultures who are currently exploiting the Sebastian Rogers case. And in this video, I'm going to show you why. So hey, Bullhorn, Betty, Green Team, At Night Intelligence, and all you RICO plaintiffs, please pay attention because I predict that this is similar to your future. Here's the final ruling from the UK judge. Conclusions. For the reasons given in this judgment, the defense is struck. The defense, being Armchair Detective, is struck out under blah, 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 and judgment entered for the claimant, Frankie Rusak Jr. The counterclaim being Armchair Detective, is struck out, and the application for security for costs is dismissed. That dismissal is against the Armchair Detective. The matter will now be listed for a remedies hearing to address any outstanding issues and remedies. Costs reserved for the remedies hearing. That means there's going to be a damages hearing for the plaintiff, being Shanann's brother. And here's a paragraph that partially explains the judge's ruling, where you can see that it says, the defendant has not provided a defense that complies with procedural rules. It says, having considered the latest defense dated 15th May 2024, it is clear that despite unequivocal indication given by Master Gibbon that this was his last chance, the defendant has not provided a defense that complies with the procedural rules set out in blah, blah, blah. Assertions that a defendant will provide a different version of events without clarifying what the version is do not provide an adequate response to the particulars of claim. The latest defense is essentially a mishmash of legal wording and vague assertions of unspecified evidence or alternative facts. It is clearly in breach of the unless order of 19 April 2024, and Mr. Vinicombe, the defendant, does not really contest that. Sound familiar? How many times have we talked about how Bullhorn Betty, the pro se litigant, and you can see all of this on Burnt Toast channel, has unnecessarily prolonged her litigation with Queen Bee? Or how the RICO plaintiffs, who are a group of anti-Katie and anti-Chris conspiracy theorists, have filed a frivolous publicity stunt lawsuit and have since failed to prosecute it with a series of litigious blunders. You've probably gotten sick of me making these comparisons, but hopefully this video and this ruling by the UK judge helps explains why I feel so strongly about this. The two true crime cases are vastly different, but the way they were exploited on YouTube are freakishly similar because the tragedy vultures who exploited the cases have used many of the same tactics, and even some of the players are related to each other, but we're not going to get into that here. Let me explain the YouTube similarities. Both cases were very high profile on YouTube, but for different reasons. Both cases had law enforcement conclusions, but many, many open questions, which were exploited by YouTubers who didn't want to give up those clicks and views. Both cases had family divisions with family members who were exploited by YouTubers to create further divisions and further exploit those sides. In each case, unethical tragedy pimping YouTubers exploited each side's need to hold on to a false reality about their case. So in the case of Shanann Watts, Chris Watts' parents could not face the reality that their own son was guilty, even though he confessed and pled guilty and was already serving several life sentences. And many YouTubers exploited their need to have him released, even to the point of Lana Oriani of Truth and Transparency creating a fraudulent nonprofit for the purpose of getting him exonerated and fooling a hell of a lot of subscribers and viewers into sending her money for that purpose. In the case of Sebastian Rogers, Seth Rogers cannot let go of the reality that law enforcement has not criminally indicted his ex-wife and her husband. So he's taken it to the extreme of joining a lawsuit which claims criminal racketeering charges against YouTubers and says outright that Sebastian's mother and stepfather are guilty in some way, shape, or form, but submits literally no proof substantiating that claim. So in both cases, family members were opportunistically exploited during the worst time in their lives to make things 1,000 times worse for other family members. Well, Frankie Ruzek Jr., Shanann's brother, was not going to take it anymore from Armchair Detective.
I got some breaking news on the Chris Watts case. All these news stories, speculations, this outrageous BS we keep hearing. The only new thing is that he's never getting out of prison. He'll be in there for the rest of his life. AD and all the rest of you schmucks coming up with all this breaking news every day. It's hilarious. Thanks for the laughs. And Lana, good job spending all their money. Idiots.
And in March 2023, he filed a lawsuit in the UK against the Armchair Detective. And he had to file in the UK because that is where the Armchair Detective is based. And I don't have access to Frankie's original filing, but the basis of his claims and the progress of the lawsuit can be viewed on his legal fundraising page and on his UK solicitor's website, both of which I've linked below. I've also linked below the judgment that I've clipped from. I also have the following reel, most of which I've clipped from a channel called Truth Be Told because Armchair Detective's channels were unceremoniously yeeted in the course of this litigation, and it's hard to find this evidence now. But as you watch this reel, tell me if you can recognize some of the same tactics being played out by tragedy vultures in the Sebastian Rogers case.
My family has been called in the middle of the night. I've had death threats. I'm trying to get that family to leave me alone. Please stop abusing Alan Bacon.
Name where he lives. Say where he lives. Send things to his son's business. Send things to his daughter.
They're affecting my reputation, shame, they hurt my feelings, they're embarrassing me and more.
I have got over 1,000 screenshots of that family hating on me on 50 channels.
I haven't been anywhere near them. I'm the one who's harassed. Don't they realise the case I've got against them? Have you not seen what they've written all over YouTube for the last 2 years about me? Have you not seen the tirades that Frankie's done online against me?
I'm just an old guy, 66 years old in England, trying to run my business. You are affecting my business. A vindictive family coming after one man. Makes no sense, right? Until you think about money. You're the ones inserting your lives into my life on YouTube. You've now identified yourself as gang stalkers. You are causing me direct financial loss on a daily basis, and I can prove it.
They're trying to get me killed.
And I have to face this on a daily basis. And because they're doing that, I get death threats.
I've got to do what I do to protect myself. I've got to shut him up. I'm done with him. He has to shut up.
I'm asking that family to stop it now, before it gets ridiculous. I'm asking you to stop it now. You're endangering my life. I'm holding you responsible now. It happens to me. I'm holding that certain young lad responsible. Not a game. I'm being accused of all sorts. It's not a game, is it, Junior? God, what I've done for their family. I'm getting stick from Junior. All I've done for that family.
You're going to get me killed. Don't say I haven't warned you. Don't say I haven't told you if anything happens to me. You're poisoning people's minds, and you're getting them to hate me to such a level that they won't know what they're doing, and they're quite likely to come around here and get rid of me. That's what you're doing.
Did a fundraising plan to come and get me. And they put a price on my head, and I thought, why am I being so nice to them? Yeah. You don't even know how much evidence I've got on you. You're just a family from, I don't know, family from Carolina. Just go back to being a family. Get your hands out of this. And apologise to me.
Making an investigation into a corrupt police investigation, and they've inserted themselves in this. I've never known a family insert themselves.
These clips give you a basic idea, just a very basic idea of Armchair Detective's smarmy, manipulative vibe, but it doesn't give you a sense of the Armchair Detective's epic presence in the Watts case at that time. At its peak, the Armchair Detective's brand had 3 different, very active, very popping channels with an accumulative 150,000 subscribers. With these channels, he went live every single day, sometimes more than once a day. And he would tease a breaking new headline every day in the case, such as, he just got a new letter from Chris Watts. It was fake.
I've got a new Chris Watts email, a long one. I can tell you that Chris Watts has sent us an email as we're talking, and he's just emailed us again now. Yeah, so, yeah, we have been talking to Chris Watts.
He comes across as a nice bloke, doesn't he? You know what I mean?
And he'll only read one sentence from it on the YouTube channel, but you have to come to Patreon for him to read the whole thing. Or he's figured out for real, for sure that the mistress was in the house, but you can't know all the real for sure until you come to Patreon. When Shanann's brother and family started calling out this exploitation, Armchair Detective went from being relatively neutral about Shanann and her friends to being more accusatory and more cruel.
The best way to lose weight is eat fewer calories and do more exercise. Shanann. What did we ever see her do other than sit down?
And he went from severely condemning Lana Oriani for her shameless, disgusting portrayal of Shanann Watts as Shazam to actually having her on his show to accuse Nicole Atkinson, Shanann's friend, of actually being in the house during the murder.
This woman, Lana, is the most disgusting piece of garbage I've ever come across. She pretends to be a dead Shanann Watts. That's right, a dead Shanann Watts, and laughs about it and makes fun of Shanann.
I'm back.
There's more things to life than money. Don't give them your channel. Don't have them on. Yeah, they will give you a large audience and numbers. I was sick watching this. I was sick making it. Shanann Rusak haters. Disgusting. I feel sick. Some of you are having this woman on your channel. Shame on you. I'm disgusted. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so truth and transparency is coming on tonight. Lana.
And those are my...
murder cases in America. I heard one the other day where this girl, right, she locked her boyfriend, because he had an affair, in a suitcase, right? And he's going, let me out, let me out.
So this went on day after day after day, and Armchair Detective made thousands and thousands of dollars off of this. Sound familiar? Now, when Shanann's brother finally filed a lawsuit against him in the UK, the Armchair Detective went full Darvo. Okay? He claimed to be a YouTube martyr who was harassed and bullied and stalked and threatened and whose life was on the line, never showing an ounce of proof of the same.
I'm 66 years old in England. I'm classed as an old age pensioner. I'm being abused and harassed daily. I suffer from depression and anxiety.
Countersuing William Franklin Rusak Jr. for harassment and anxiety and everything else that goes with it. With his gang of gang stalkers that I've got all monitored.
There we go. Gang stalkers. Monitored.
Yeah. He was in their chats, all right. I've got it all. Do you think I haven't got it all? I have.
He was very convincing because he's, this old British gentleman with a nice accent that people like to hear. And he came across very convincingly, but he never showed proof. Sound familiar? And now, with the UK judge's ruling, we see that the Armchair Detective who talked a really, really big game, who said he was going to win the case, who tried to raise legal funds on the basis of being a victimized old pensioner.
That will cause you at least a year's delay just to get me to court. That will cost you 50,000 in letters just to get me to court. You take me to court, I dare you. I will raise 3 times the money that you raised, and I will bankrupt you in America. You have no case against me. I have a massive case about you. You've ruined my business. You've ruined my business.
Junior, what are you going to do now? Junior.
I want you in court so I can say you've got prison records. Because I can prove it. How would you like that to be known in public? Because that's what I want. You push me that far now. I want to go to court. And I want to tell them about your criminal record.
Did exactly what the RICO plaintiffs are doing in their court proceedings and what Bullhorn Betty has been doing in her court case against Queen Bee. He tried to represent himself. He tried to stall proceedings to make the costs go up for the other side. He tried to countersue, saying that he was the one with the legal claims. And after several failed attempts at submitting his claims, the court has ruled against him and for the victim's family. This is a victory for victims' families and against true crime conspiracy theorists who weaponize social media for personal profit. And it's really, really bad news for any of you mofos who continue to think that any court is going to look at rampant online abuse of a victim's family and turn away. Regardless of whether you are the plaintiff filing a frivolous lawsuit to spread a false narrative, or whether you are a victim's family looking to stop harassment, the wheels of justice, they turn slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. Now, don't be swayed by the fact that this is a UK ruling. There have also been rulings in the US against tragedy vultures for similar reasons. In Andracchio versus Critical K, Critical K was ordered to pay $500,000 in damages, and the same pattern played out there. She was sued. She talked a big game about defending her freedom of speech. Her channel was terminated. She failed to adequately defend herself, and she's now toiling away on Facebook as a disgraced former tragedy pimp. Armchair Detective also continues to live on in a alternative universe on TikTok. He's doing Liam Payne and Madeleine McCann conspiracies, but he will never have the fame or glory he once had during his Watts days on YouTube. And if you asked him, I don't think he would say it was worth it, because now he's on the hook for a yet to be determined financial payment to Frankie Rousseff Jr., which I'm sure is going to be life-changing for him. It's already life-changing for him. And if the RICO injunction lawsuit is going the way I think it's going, it sounds like the RICO plaintiffs will be slapped into the same type of outcome. And the common denominator here is the conspiracy theorists. In these situations, which sides were the ones peddling false information and conspiracy theories against victims' families? You know which ones, right? Was that short-lived search in views, income, and acceptance worth it to you? Don't give me that answer right now. I'm a patient lady. I'm old. Come back and tell me in a year.
You don't know what we go through, and you keep talking about it. And when the lawyers come knocking on your door, don't be surprised, because they're going to come. You don't have to make up all the stories. Let me tell you, sit back, really, in that chair of yours, and ask yourself, how would you feel if that was your grandchild? And your daughter. And your daughter that was over there. I think about it every single day, and you people out there just keep talking about them. I know you're watching.
Oh, there you go, Armchair Detective. Have a nice day.
Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and peace out.